They have a combined 12 years in the National Football League. They combined for 65 career sacks, 232 tackles, 1 Pro Bowl selection, and 1 Employee of the Month award.
That's just a straight shooter with upper management written all over him.
It's Train and Grose on the All AZ Podcast Network.
Welcome in, Train and Grose, coming to you from Train Station Studio. Nice and toasty this afternoon. B-Train, how you doing?
Doing good, brother. Doing good. Feeling good. And, it is toasty, but, I got the handy-dandy towel and a little drink right here, so I'm ready to knock this out, brother.
Can we do this real quickly? And
Let's
obviously we're going to jump into the Suns, but I got to do this. And Sean Crespin, I need you to ride shotgun with me on this. I want to send a shout-out to our guy who is no longer with us, Gary Cruz. I was watching Independence Day on...
Yes.
Of course, Independence Day.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
Obviously he had a part in that movie, and such a good sport about it, too.
Yes.
We would bring him on our Saturday morning show I was doing with Grosser every year. What did we do that show, 3 years together?
At least, yeah.
And so we would bring him on every 4th of July weekend.
Right.
And he would tell us the story about being on that movie and just kind of go around the horn with sports. Yeah, I miss Cruiser, man. You want to talk about one of the all-time nicest dudes in this industry?
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
And the last time he was with us, he did, we said, will you reprise your role?
Yeah.
So Carlos Ortiz
Carlos Ortiz. That's
from
right.
Fox 11 in Los
in
Angeles. Angelinos, do not fire your weapons into the sky.
Wow. Wow.
Such a good sport about it.
man.
And like I said, it just gave me a pause on Independence Day. I was watching the movie
yeah.
and he popped up,
Sure.
like 15, 20 minutes in.
Yep.
Yeah, great to see him, and we miss
No
him.
doubt.
I mean, he
Definitely
was
miss
so
him.
nice. I overlooked the fact that he was a diehard Broncos guy all those years.
I mean, come on. He's from Denver, man. Come
Just
on.
overlooked it because he was so nice.
And he was from he's from L.A., but he was a legend. That's where I met him. He
Yes.
was an absolute legend in
Denver.
Denver
Yes, he
sports.
was.
KMGH Channel 7, I believe, in Denver. He was a legend. And when I was a sports information director at a small Division II, this tells you the hardworking, nice guy, covers the Broncos, covers the Nuggets, covers the Buffs, all the big stories. I was at a Division II school. He said, we want to do a story. What do you think? And he and the head basketball coach hooked up. Gary Cruz went on a 6-day road trip with a Division II basketball team and took the camera. And in the office still, probably to this day, the old film that they used to use at TV stations.
Yeah.
So the versatility, but just a genuine nice guy. And
One of the best, man, that's for sure.
And, it got me thinking about when you said Denver and how with the Broncos, it's always the first pro team. That's always the beloved team in that city.
Mm-hmm.
The Broncos are beloved in Denver, in the Mile High City. Same way the Phoenix Suns are beloved here.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter what any of the other 4 or other 3 major sports do, they will never be the Phoenix Suns.
And I
Just
think
like
that's
in
a
Denver,
fair statement.
nobody will ever be the Denver Broncos. The Nuggets, the Rockies, the Avalanche, they can win Stanley Cups, they can win World Series, they can win NBA championships, but they will never have the heart of the city like Denver.
Well, and you know this
Like the
because
Broncos, I should say.
you live there, you work there.
I played there. I played for the Broncos.
I was there for 12 years.
Yeah.
And when the Broncos are winning, I was there for the first couple Super Bowls, the ones
Yeah.
that they got to, then got.
Yeah.
But they still went to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And then when it goes sideways with the Broncos, that's a bigger story than anything else is going on. And you could say, arguably, in the city of Denver, if you look at the 4 majors, the Avalanche really have been the more successful team over the last number of years. And it doesn't matter.
Nope.
It does not matter. If the Broncos are stinking it up, which they have been lately, and they're starting to question John Elway and his leadership with that franchise, you know it's for real.
Absolutely.
You know it's for
And
real.
I'll give him credit, too. I've been lucky enough to go watch games or be at games in a handful of stadiums. Mm-hmm. The fan and the day and the game day experience there is pretty darn good.
Oh, it's
like I've been there
unbelievable.
4 or 5 times as a Raiders guy.
Yes.
Head to toe in Raiders gear. It's never malicious.
Nope.
There's never we banter. We have some fun.
Sure.
Usually they're trying to figure out how I have tickets from the season ticket holder that's usually sitting next to them. And I'm
Right.
They're
like,
mad at that guy, not
but I
you.
mean, the last time I'm there, it's freezing cold. This lady's giving me hand warmers. She's offering me trail mix. We're talking football. They're extremely knowledgeable
Right.
about the game. Like, it's a fun experience to go there.
You guys know I grew up in Detroit, so I had Lions a la Silverdome years. That's what
Sure.
my NFL was. You get a ticket whenever you wanted to.
I played in the Silverdome.
So you know what it was
Yeah.
all about up there.
Old school.
Bad football and huge building. So
Great music.
Wonderful music. My freshman year in college in Denver, one of my roommates, or one of the people in the hall, whatever, the dorm. She said, "Hey, I got a ticket to the Broncos game. You want to go?" Yes. We were close enough. The dorm was close enough. We walked down Federal Boulevard to the old Mile High Stadium. It was Broncos Raiders South Stands.
Wow.
That was my first experience outside of the Pontiac Silverdome Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
And you talk about going to college and getting your mind expanded.
Absolutely.
That happened there.
But I bring all that up to talk about the Phoenix Suns and how this team has really captured the imagination of the fan base here. They've waited so long, and you think about the madhouse at McDowell and how they've embraced this team from the very first time that they saw this team, and how they are looking at and cheering for this team. It almost seems like a love affair.
Absolutely. Like they're falling back in love almost.
Falling back in love. And like they were estranged for a minute, but then they're able to rekindle that thing, and it's just beautiful poetry right now.
Because your analogy with the Broncos in Denver is spot on, because I was struck, and we'll talk about the actual games. The Suns up 2-0.
We're going to get to it.
But the reaction in town, and I remember driving around Denver, and especially when it was going good, the people setting up in the gas station parking lot selling stuff.
Yes.
And I'm driving home the other day, and I passed 3 stands in parking lots of gas stations and whatever, people selling Suns paraphernalia.
There you go.
Probably not licensed, whatever. Old school, like the 93 version.
Yeah, the Charles Barkley's, the Dan Marleys.
To your point about going back and re-embracing this team, and it's like, look, this is for real.
Yes.
Like this is a city falling back in love with its basketball team after having a relationship that was on the rocks for the better part of the last decade. It'd be like high school sweethearts finding each other.
I was just about to say, like, it's like you come back to the 20-year reunion and you saw that old flame.
Yeah.
And you start seeing those, the things that kind of made you fall, kind of made you fall in the first place. Like, okay, looking kind of good, working out a little bit, everything is kind of fitting where it needs to fit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you see him and it's like you start reminiscing like, oh, this is why I kind of liked you in the first place. Yeah. Okay, here we go.
Exactly.
And I love this team, but can I just say, Budenholzer, can you please have some adjustments?
Right.
You cannot let this team just manhandle you the exact same way for 4 games, because if you don't change your game plan, it will be Suns in 4, like a lot of fans have been screaming, because there has not been a single adjustment. When you start now, they came out, and we talked about this before we came on air. Yes, they came out and they made them shoot threes. They hit the threes, but you still see Chris Paul unbothered. He's not being picked up at half or at full court. He's not being made to give up the ball at any point. If you're Mike Budenholzer, you've got to see you're wasting Giannis Antetokounmpo, a guy that he didn't even know if he was going to be able to play this series, and he's came out and he has played as well as you could possibly ask him to play. And it's still all for naught, because you're still letting multiple guys go off and get whatever kind of shot they want.
Yeah, and it wasn't quite as bad. Like Game 1, because I believe this is the first show we've done since even before Game 1. Game 1, Chris Paul was able to manipulate the matchups he wanted. He was able to get Brook Lopez on him, or
wherever he wanted to go on the court.
Yeah,
wherever he wanted to go.
Their switching that they were off the pick and roll was brutal. They were able to get whatever matchup they wanted. Suns owned that chess match from the get-go in Game 1. Game 2, they closed down hard on Chris Paul. They took away the mid-range game where Chris Paul likes to work. Whether he takes the mid-range shot or not, he's able to get there, work, manipulate, either hit DA in the backside cut or kick out to a shooter. They took that away. The problem was the Suns hit 57% from three-point range in the first quarter. They hit one shot that wasn't a three in the first quarter, and the Bucks only had a 3-point lead. So at that point, what do you do? And then offensively, I agree with you. It's awesome to look at a box score if you're a Bucks fan, or if you're Giannis and say, oh, he had 40 points. Look at that. Giannis did his job.
42 and 12.
But did he, though, when it's constant ISO ball and the rhythm of the offense just stops constantly? Like, to me, that's the bigger problem. Those games that – look, they haven't won a game with him playing since Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Offensively, that ball moves a lot more when he's not playing that ISO ball garbage. Like, they got to find a way to – there's a lot of adjustments they're going to have to make, or this is not going to be – we're not going to get Game 5. It's going to be over when they come back.
Yeah, to that point, right? It's adjustments. We've been talking about this all along, like who's going to make the adjustments, and now the pressure squarely on the Bucks to figure that out. But like you said, Sean, there's only so much you can do if the Suns continue to shoot the way they're doing. I mean, I don't know what kind of adjustments you're going to make to slow that down. And it wasn't like only Chris Paul. everybody who took a shot was hitting it. Hello, Cam Johnson.
Mikal Bridges.
Right? I mean, what do you do? And so, and I was telling Sean before we start, the other thing too, this is hard, but take yourself out of a Suns fan of a Bucks fan. Mm-hmm. It's been a really enjoyable 2 games to watch. You look at it. I know there's a lot of small market talk going on out there. Yep. This has been fun. This has been good basketball. It's been enjoyable basketball.
Yep.
And the trend has continued. It was close early in both these games. Then you saw the lack of adjustments, in-game adjustments. Suns flipped that switch, and it was almost like they found that gear that the Bucks never could match. And then they pull away for wins in game 1 and 2.
Mike, I look at this Suns team, and they are almost the perfect anti-Big Three team. They don't have a Big Three.
Yeah.
They were a team that you saw at the end of last year. They were starting to get a little momentum. They got a heck of a coach who is a leader of men and who is clearly out-coaching the other team's coach because of what he's doing and how he's inspiring his own players. I look at how he talks to everybody. Everybody gets a little bit different speech. It's not the same, a sweeping, broad stroke for everybody. He talks to everybody in a way that they can understand it. And I think for Monty, one, I'm so proud of him because he's a fellow alum. We were in school together for 2 years. He's been the exact same guy ever since I can remember him. Like going all the way back to 1993. He's been the same guy. And the fact that he was one, given an opportunity, I think that speaks a lot to one, Sarver getting out of the way and bringing in guys that are actual basketball guys, like a James Jones who's actually bringing in the right pieces in order to make an ideal squad. There's a lot of credit that's going to go around, but man, I got to tell you, there's something special about this team. The way that they interact with each other, it's just special. It's something that you don't see with a lot of other teams.
Well, I want to go back to that Monty Williams thought. Like, you think about what it takes to be a successful coach, not in pro sports, not in college sports, not in high school sports, just in general. What is it? It's tactician, sure, the ability to do the adjustments in college recruiting, but it's relationship.
It's communication.
And what's a cornerstone of communication? That relationship piece.
Yes.
You can see the embrace between Chris Paul and Monty Williams. It's genuine.
Yeah.
And not talking about Mike
Budenholzer.
Budenholzer.
Yeah.
I was like,
they've got some names. The Milwaukee Bucks have got some names to get out of your mouth.
I need that pronunciation guide. But I'm going back to Coach Malone with the Nuggets, with like his little antics after the game. That's the exact opposite of what we're seeing here in Phoenix. Let's say, and I don't envision how this would happen, but let's say the Suns were down 0-2.
Sure.
Right? I don't ever see Monty Williams getting at the podium saying, I'm going to go find me some guys who want to play. We're playing for the NBA. That would never come out of his – he wouldn't even think about that.
Nope.
And so you think about successful coaches and guys who've played, and you think back, college, pro, high school, what was the key for you? Communication. My daughter played through college sports.
Communications.
Coaches that she liked, that she had a good relationship, she could talk to, could listen to her. It's communication. You have that rapport. And then when you do that, when the coach says do this, do that, or makes the adjustments, the players are already bought in. You don't have to convince. You don't have to try to get them to get bought into a system. They already follow their coach.
Mike, there was an exchange between Monty Williams and DeAndre Ayton at the fourth quarter. There was a timeout, and it's already gone viral on most social media outlets. And he's talked to him. He said, "Hey, look at me," and you could see that trust.
Yep.
The one thing that was so clear in that was DeAndre Ayton trusted him because he did exactly what he asked him to do, and there was nothing he was treating him like a kid. He was saying, "Look, you go out there and be the guy, be physical. You don't have to have all these stats in order to affect the game. You go do what you do in order to affect this game. There's more than one way to affect the game." And you could just see DeAndre Ayton, his confidence. It was almost like he was a flat tire, and you could see Monty Williams just continuing to pump him up by the word. And every word, you saw DeAndre Ayton's shoulders stand up. You saw his body posture change. Everything about him change, and that is so rare to see in today's NBA.
Exactly, and even when things go bad on the court, and again, bad is a relative term when you're up 2-0 in the NBA Finals.
Correct.
But you're like, he got his shot blocked a couple times. He didn't stand back. Exactly, it happens, and he didn't stand back there and mope, which we probably would have saw early in his career.
Correct.
He hustled down court.
You would have saw that earlier this year.
Fine. He hustled, and he was back there playing defense. Like it didn't even phase him at that point.
Yeah.
And I think that, to your point, that's the combination of the head coach and Chris Paul. And you've seen a lot of interaction on display between DeAndre Ayton and Chris Paul on the bench, where he goes up, grab him by the back of the head, put his forehead on his forehead, and talks to him.
So now we've gotten to the point where, okay, we've thrown out the superlatives. We've given the Suns their praise because now they're up 2-0 and they've got 2 more to go. Now let's look at this from a realistic standpoint, Mike. Can the Milwaukee Bucks beat this Phoenix Suns team 4 out of 5 times?
No. I don't think so. I don't think they the series may come back to Phoenix because this is a good Milwaukee team, and I think they'll get a lift going home. But this team can't beat the Suns 4 out of the next 5. I don't see any way. So maybe they win 1 in Milwaukee, and so Game 5 comes back here. I would bet whatever on it. I'm not a gambler, so whatever that means.
Wow.
I don't see 4 out of 5. No way.
Okay.
No.
The Suns haven't lost 4 out of 5 since, remember early in the season they went and played the Wizards?
Yep.
And they had the COVID issues by contact tracing.
Yep.
So they had to take a week off. So they had lost that Wizards game. Then they wound up losing a handful of games when they returned after a week off. That's the only time they've lost 4 out of 5 this year.
Ain't happening now.
It ain't happening
now.
Yeah.
The other thing, while we're handing out congratulations and superlatives and all that, if you get a chance, the undefeated Mark Spears, who covers the NBA, does a great job, has done a great job.
My guy, Mark Spears. He's a good man.
He wrote an article today and has it posted on James Jones and the credit he should be receiving.
Without a doubt.
For all this. So you talk about the love, again, to know the mechanics of how Monty Williams ended up there. James Jones was a big part of that.
There's no doubt.
And
even James Jones getting the job.
James Jones getting the job, and whatever else you want to say about Robert Sarver,
he made that right decision.
And he got out of the way a little bit.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. So check it out.
It's exciting.
Mark J. Spears on Twitter. It's a good article, just posted it about 6 hours ago.
I'm going to ask you this, Mike. If they win, if they pull this thing off and they win 2 more games and they are crowned world champions.
Not if, when.
Not if, when. You going to the parade?
No.
No?
That's a great question.
I think we have a Twitter question coming up after the show.
That is a great question. Because my initial reaction was...
Are you going, Sean?
My initial reaction was exactly like Grose. Nah, I'm good on that, right? Like, I'm not big on parades. But, dude, I've spent over half my life working for that team.
And you're not going to go to the parade?
I almost feel like I should, right? I've been a fan since I could pick up a ball.
You going?
And I spent over half my life working.
I think I would go. As a guy that wanted to always be on the other side of that parade, I think I would go out of respect.
When logistically in Phoenix, Arizona, in
that's
July?
Going to be hot. That's going to be hot.
When do you run? How do you run a parade? Like if you're in charge, hey Bertram, we won the championship.
You're not getting around the heat.
CP3 is going to Disneyland. You're planning the parade.
Who put together the first one when we didn't win it? I'm going to find.
Well, that was
out.
different too, but that was when.
But it's still putting it together.
No, it is putting it together.
People out there.
But the July factor is different than I don't know when
June.
that was.
It was June.
May or June.
Yeah.
Do we like NBA after the 4th of July?
I do.
If you're on the board of governors, do you push the season out?
Yes.
No, I don't like it. I think even though we are bored to tears in that month, I think it gives you an opportunity to cool the jets because we're going to be tired as fans, as sports fans. We're going to be tired.
Do you think we need that time off?
You need that time off because you think about it like we're going to be amped. All the way up until, the 20th or whatever when this thing gets crowned, or at least the 15th, middle of the month.
Right.
So then the very next week you start training camps. And now you're getting ramped up again for the Arizona Cardinals. You don't have any downtime. You don't have any time to gather yourself and just breathe for a second. I mean, as much as we, complain about, man, there's nothing on TV in July, you kind of need that.
To your point, Bertrand, that the NBA doing what the NBA does, right? Game last night here in Phoenix, 3 days off. Play Sunday in Milwaukee,
right?
And then they're still in Milwaukee.
Wednesday.
3 more days off.
Yeah.
And then if Game 5 is necessary, not till Saturday back here in Denver.
Which is what date?
Denver? Where the hell am I?
We're in Phoenix.
Phoenix. What date is that?
That's July 17th. And that would be a Game 5.
Right.
And then I'm sure they've got it planned out. I just don't have it in front of me. Denver. How did I get Denver on the board?
I don't know.
Well, we've been talking about Denver Broncos and all that kind of stuff. Come on.
But I think you're right, because I always look at that V train as
I like it. I'm with you.
Negative. Like let's keep it going because the one thing the NFL has always done right is the fact that they basically fill every month of the calendar, right? Except for this one. And so I thought, my initial reaction is, okay, fill my sports calendar for me. And if you're the NBA, The less you overlap the NFL, probably the better for you. So if you can move it back to a December start, for instance, there was a season, 4 or 5 years ago? Maybe it's more than that now. What was it, 6 years ago, when the season didn't start until December because of a lockout?
Yep.
And I remember, and I was working for the team at the time. I mean, so that cost me money. But if I was being real with it, I was like, this feels about right. And then we started roughly the same this year too. And it's like this. I feels about right.
I like the late start. If I was in charge, if they asked me my vote, I would say go with the late start. I get what you're saying, but there's 20 how many other cities? Like if you're a fan of fill in the blank that's not named Milwaukee or Phoenix.
Oh, there's 28 other ones. Yeah.
You're interested, but you're not invested the same way.
That's sure.
So I think from a product standpoint to put it up there and have the spotlight, I love it. I don't feel the same way about the NHL because you got playing it on ice.
Shout out to the Tampa Bay Lightning winning
By the way,
second consecutive.
back to back, and sorry for you, Canada.
Lightning strikes twice.
There you go. Yeah. But trying to do be the guy at the arena in Tampa in charge of creating the ice when it's 95 degrees and 82% humidity.
Yeah,
I think it impacts the quality of play from time to time. I remember when it was here.
Yep.
When they went all the way to the Western Conference Finals, the ice was a big question, and that's a relatively new building. So not for the NHL, but I love it for the NBA.
Here's the thing too. When I go back to the NFL, go back 20 years, September 11, which was a tragic day in American history. The NFL came by that schedule by mistake.
That's backwards.
Yeah, I mean, they fell into a great idea.
Yeah.
Push everything back and let's go into the first week in February. Because remember, all Super Bowls used to be the last January. Last Sunday in January.
Yeah.
And it was that way forever. And then all of a sudden you had the tragedy, everything had to get pushed back. And now they found that that's a great thing. I don't know if you can capture that same magic for the NBA. Yeah. That's one of those fine lines that I don't know if July basketball is going to always sell.
And I agree, and we all know we can sit here and give our opinion, and the bottom line, the decider will be TV. TV will decide when they play, because if they can go to the owners and say, "Look at this," and they've put the graphs up on the
absolutely,
that'll be the deciding factor.
I just came up with a new segment. And I mean, it just came to me. I mean, it was really one of those. Just the way you said it, Mike. We can call it Just My Opinion. Just My Opinion, blank. I think we need to, there's some point we're going to have to implement that, because we all have strong opinions about certain things, and we don't always agree as we continue to banter and talk about. We don't always agree.
I'm always right, and we don't always agree. I was talking to somebody today at the day job about apple fritters. I said, our friend Sean had his first apple fritter forever, and he loved it.
That's right.
And I said, is this really as bad as people want to make it out to be? Because there's a whole apple. And she goes, they chop up the apple, they roll it in sugar and deep fry it. You think about it.
Why did she got to ruin it for us? Because that's one thing on this show we do agree on. That apple fritter was a money.
That didn't ruin it for me. I'm still all about apple fritters.
You know what else is funny? I see Bosa donuts now everywhere. And every time I see one, I'm like, I got to pull in and get an apple fritter.
I mean, come on.
So
you're like
good.
One of your dogs. You're like got your nose pressed up against the glass.
Against the window, man. Oh, my Lord, that was good.
Open.
All right, on the other side, we'll jump into some NFL news and notes. That's coming up. Train and Grose.
Train and Grose.
I said when we got out that we're going to talk NFL, but there's a little bit of a bridge.
Yep. A rare
component
case.
To
a rare
this.
case, yes.
And I'll give Sean Crespin credit for this, because he's the first one that I saw put it out there on social media.
I was just joking.
Oh, it's serious now, man.
Yeah.
If the Phoenix Suns when the Phoenix Suns win the NBA championship, everybody gets a ring. Players, of course.
Of course.
Front office.
Trainers.
Yeah. Support personnel.
Assistant coaches.
So I could get the media guy to listen.
I got a ring doing music for the Mercury. They gave me a ring.
Where's that ring?
Did they really?
Yeah, I got 2 of them. It's at the house.
Really?
Yeah.
We got to bring those in. I didn't know that.
Only damn team that ever got me a championship.
How did I not know
wow. Yeah, this is like the best kept secret.
No, never told you. Yeah, at the
Come
house.
on.
Well, so Sean will.
To that point.
No, let me put it this way.
Everybody gets in.
Larry Fitzgerald may join Sean Crespin in that company and having a championship ring
not
when
with the Arizona
Phoenix
Cardinals.
Not with the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
How do we feel about that?
Mike, I'm going to speak from an athlete standpoint.
Right.
I'm going to feel some kind of way, and it's not going to be positive.
Right.
Because, one, yes, you like to see your money make money. And
Right.
that's always going to be good because that's a great investment. He invested his money into the Suns. That investment is paying dividends right now.
Yep.
But when you don't have that one thing that you want more than anything in the world, nothing is going to come close to that.
Right.
And yes, it's going to be great to be part of an organization that won a championship, but nobody's going to say it was because of Larry. Now, the thing that is so great about Larry is when he had a chance to try to win a ring on the football field, Larry did everything that he could to help this team win a
There's no
championship
question
ring.
about that.
So he doesn't have to worry about the what ifs and if I could have done more. Larry did all he could have in order for us to try to get that ring. So he can put his head on the pillow and sleep very well at night knowing that he did all he could.
No, I think that's
Still, though, it's not going to feel the same as having one as a player on the field.
No, I agree with that. I'll be happy for him because that means the team won.
Absolutely. Great business
A
investment.
great business decision.
Yeah.
A smart move by Robert Sarver to bring in somebody who's beloved and take some of the spotlight off of Robert Sarver.
Yeah.
Because I remember when they first started playing games, if you recall, when they couldn't have fans or many fans in the
Yes,
arena,
yes.
the pictures out of the arena were Larry Fitzgerald sitting
Yes.
courtside.
With his son.
Right? So Larry Fitzgerald courtside at the Suns game in a partially empty or mostly empty arena.
Yep.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, but good for him. Which brings us, I think, to where we want to go with this, and Sean brought it up before we started recording. We don't know what Larry Fitzgerald's future is.
No,
I mean,
we
we
don't.
think we know. It's July, and there's been no news, so you assume you know. But Sean Crespin, you shared before the show
Yeah,
that
he was on Pro Football. He's out there at the Tahoe Celebrity Golf Tournament going on. He was on Pro Football Focus, and obviously that's the question that comes up. You know, what are you doing, Larry? Are you going to play 18th season or not? He said he still has not made up his mind. He said training camp starts next week. The NFL's in for another he's excited for another NFL season, just in general, but has not made up his mind in terms of what he's doing yet. And here we are, just a week and some change away from training camp. So
A week from the actual first training camps, from the teams that are going to be playing in the Hall of Fame game. But I wanted to kind of segue to, there's another topic that of course is never going away, but the other partial owner of the Milwaukee Bucks happens to be one Aaron Rodgers. And so you're talking about two guys that they've got their own day job, but then they could actually be on the winning side of a championship, by investing their money wisely.
yeah.
And he's kind of made his own headlines here recently.
Yeah, we'll get into that in just a second.
No doubt.
I just go back to the Fitz not making his decision. A friend of mine at work, at the day job, he sent me, and we were going back and forth on IM at work saying, what's up with Fitz, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
talking, he said, hasn't decided. He said, how much was his what is his agreement with, and again, we all know this, it's not with the general manager, it's with the owner. What's the agreement?
He goes to the house and sign it.
How much does
every
Larry
year.
Fitzgerald make a year?
$11 million.
I just looked it up. Cardinals have just under $11 million of available cap. It's like $8,000 under the cap right now.
Wow.
So if you cut a ball boy and you're at $11 million.
oh boy,
You're at $11 million, and you
Yeah.
can give Fitz that contract worth $11 million
There you go.
if you so choose.
But here's the thing, and here's the question that a lot of people don't want to have to talk about. I love Larry. He was a teammate. He's a brother. He's a friend. Larry Fitzgerald's not worth $11 million right now.
No, he's not. Not
That's
on the
hard.
field.
It's hard for me to say
Yeah,
because I love him.
yeah.
But in all practicality, he's not worth that.
I totally agree with you. If you look at what this team needs, and I think, and this is going to launch us into our next part of this conversation, that, would you want Larry Fitzgerald back because of Larry Fitzgerald? Of course. Do you want Larry Fitzgerald back at $11 million per year, or could you do something more productive with that $11 million if you're the Arizona Cardinals?
But Mike, here's the thing. Do you really want Larry Fitzgerald because of Larry Fitzgerald? Because the thing that I see, and again, I don't like talking bad about my brother because he's the only holdover that I had from my time as a player. Larry doesn't fit this system.
I get it, but we've talked about this.
Mike, he was a healthy scratch at the end of the season.
Understood.
Healthy scratch.
If Larry Fitzgerald drives into Michael Bidwell's driveway when he gets back from the golf tournament and says, Mike, I'm good to go, does Michael Bidwell tell him no?
He might not tell him no, but he can't tell him $11 million yes.
I'd love so many conversations. I'd love to be a fly on the wall.
I know,
And I think we're all in agreement.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the productivity, And again, because I think we're all in agreement that regardless of what we're seeing from some of the national writers about this team, this is a flawed team that still has some holes that need to be filled. And Larry Fitzgerald doesn't fill those holes.
You can't be $11 million in your third option at best.
Agreed.
You can't.
Totally agree.
There's no position on that team where you can make $11 million and be the third option.
And you've talked about this, but I'm going to ask you again real quickly before we move on. How hard is that for a player to understand? You were really clear. You knew when it was time to walk away.
Yes, I did.
But that's not always the case.
That's not always the case, but I think for Larry, if they're going to give it to me, I'm going to take it.
Yeah, you're not going to turn it down.
Yeah, I'm not going to be like, oh, well, let me do what's best for the team, and I'm not going to take this $11
Michael
million.
Bidwell slides the $11 million contract across the table, and Larry goes, damn, Mike, let's do 6.5 and call it good.
Absolutely not. I mean, because if he slides that over, I'm going to take it, and I'm going to be like,
he's going to reach into the briefcase and get that old send it back.
Yeah, get the LF11, and just stamp it right there.
All right, see you later.
Yeah, that's right. They're good doing business with you.
No, I get it. And
he was targeted 72 times last year. Targeted. Had 54 receptions, 409 yards.
Okay,
just the one touchdown.
Let's just look at this realistically. You've got DeAndre Hopkins, A.J. Green,
Christian Kirk.
Maybe.
Christian Kirk. You just drafted 2.
In the second round, you got one, too.
You still got Andy Isabella, who was another second-round guy. All these guys under 5'10", by the way.
I mean, what's wrong with
that? You can't bring that guy back for $11 million and make that make sense to the rest of the team. Because now
that's it, right? You talk about that all the time.
Yes.
Because nobody's going to say anything to Larry Fitzgerald in that locker room.
No.
But in the back of your mind, if you're one of the – how many people are on the roster this year? I need to change
53.
Yeah.
But there's more practice squad.
All right, so 53-man roster.
Sure.
And one of those 53 is Larry Fitzgerald at $11 million, and you're walking around that locker room. You won't say it to his face, but in your mind, you know.
Well, and who's already having feelings roughly like that? Walking around that locker room on the defensive side of the ball. Chandler Jones, according to reports. I mean, we're not in the locker room.
I don't. You know what? I don't buy that about Chandler.
I don't either.
Here's my thing. When you're a vet, do you really need OTAs? Hell no. Chandler's in great shape. If you follow him on Twitter, and I recommend you guys follow him on Twitter, the man's working his ass off.
And what was the
he'll
tweet?
be ready.
What was the tweet about this week then? Or this week? Off to better things.
He's going on vacation.
I see. Good for him.
And he rolled into Cardinals headquarters to do a photo shoot
for
with
J.J.
Watt.
Yeah.
Like, they put it out there, the two of them, doing what they do.
55 and 99 equals trouble for the NFL. I mean, come on. Chandler Jones and J.J. Watt. J.J. Watt needed to be there for OTAs because he's a new presence.
Familiarize yourself.
He's got to be a leader. He's got to be a guy that sets the tone. Hey, this is what I bring to the table.
Yep.
Chandler Jones has the 2 most productive seasons as far as sacking the quarterback in franchise history. He has nothing to prove in walkthroughs, which is what OTAs are basically, with a helmet on.
What about camp next week?
You don't do anything. No, he'll be at camp. But he doesn't have to do anything before the end of July to prove that he's going to be ready for the 2021 season.
If J.J. Watt needed to find out where his locker was, where to eat lunch, and
training table.
That's why he needed to be there.
Yeah, he had to befriend all of the people who work, the custodians and everything.
Exactly.
I mean, he's got to establish that and slide him a few dollars. The guy that's going to park his car, all that kind of good stuff. You got to establish where what the roles are.
That's a
Did you have a guy? I mean, I can be that guy.
No, I didn't have a guy, but I mean, things are a little different over there since when I played. Remember, it was 12 years ago when I called it a day.
Still didn't seem that long.
Things are a little different over at the facility.
Talking about the Arizona Cardinals, the three of us have talked a lot about this. That we're of the opinion that some of the national writers, anyway, kind of over-emphasizing this team or giving them too much credit.
Too much hype.
They are. I mean, we quoted an ESPN article that said, here's a team that's right on the cusp. They're the next level going into the Super Bowl conversation.
Uh-huh.
This week, CBS Sports came out a list with they rank ordered the 1 through 32, the coaches in the National Football League. The top of the list is essentially what you would expect.
There you go.
Andy Reid, number 1, Bill Belichick, number 2. The trio of Sean's right there in the middle. I think we all agree, but I don't want to speak for either one of you two. They had Mike Tomlin at 10, which was way too low for me.
It's
Ridiculous.
a travesty.
And then you kind of had the like I like to call these lists the meaty middle guys that they're there, but they maybe haven't established themselves. And I'm looking at the bottom third.
Be careful on the meaty though.
I got you. I'm looking at the bottom third, and they had our guy Cliff Kingsbury at number 22. So I did this beforehand, and sometimes it's not a good idea to do this because you just element of surprise.
Yep.
But if I'm going to look at 21, 22, 23.
Okay.
If you're starting an NFL franchise,
Yep.
and you have your choice between Cliff Kingsbury and Mike McCarthy, who you taking?
Taking the guy with the ring.
I'm with you.
Proven.
CBS Sports has Mike McCarthy ranked behind Cliff Kingsbury, and essentially they go down and say, look, yeah, he's done some good stuff, but it's all Aaron Rodgers' responsibility, what he got done at Green Bay. And if you don't believe us, look at this. He's 16 and 26 since 2017.
Okay, first of all,
I don't think that's fair.
Yeah, it's not fair because, one, he took over a team that is synonymous with losing here in recent history with the Dallas Cowboys. So
Right.
that wasn't going to hurt. That wasn't going to help the resume. And if you're going to do that with Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers, then how do you separate credit for the Patriots dynasty?
Yeah,
Do
exactly.
you give more credit for Tom Brady than you do Bill Belichick?
Because I gave Bill Belichick number 2 on the list.
There you go. And you also have Tom Brady as number 1 football athlete of all time. So somehow, some way, both those guys seem to get credit, but then you can't do that for another team and another coach?
The other one I'll ask, and I do this just to pick on Sean Crespin, is if you had your choice between Cliff Kingsbury and John Gruden, who you taking?
Taking John Gruden. Super Bowl ring.
What a stupid question.
Sorry.
Super Bowl ring, baby.
John Gruden 20, Cliff Kingsbury 22 on this list. And if people are being overly fair to the Arizona Cardinals, I think they're being overly harsh to the Raiders lately. I don't know. And because, again, they come in and they bury John Gruden for what he hasn't done since he took over the Raiders.
Offensively, they're a top 10 offense last year, and that's his expertise. But ultimately, you're the head coach, man. So when you have to fire your defensive coordinator, Paul Gunther, who you brought over from Cincinnati, and he's one of your boys, that's on you. When your defense is giving up historic numbers like they were last year, you're the head coach. You're calling the shots. That's on you. So he does deserve some criticism.
Well, they said that. They said if he had less roster control, he might be more effective as a coach.
Exactly right.
So that's it. The other thing that I noticed is, man, no love for the new coaches and some of the loco ones. I mean, you'll agree with this. They had Urban Meyer in the bottom 5, and I don't know the new guy at Detroit.
He's done that to himself.
The new guy at Detroit,
Dan
man.
Campbell?
Dan Campbell.
Oh, my God. I played against Dan Campbell.
And
He's a little nuts. And listening to some of his press conferences,
You're just talking about biting people.
some of the things just they're not becoming of an NFL head coach.
the first line in their write-up is, "We have little doubt that he'll bring energy to the Detroit Lions."
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, real quickly before we move on to our last NFL, 1 to 32, all these coaches, you're starting your NFL franchise. You can take any one of these 32 coaches to start your franchise as the head coach. Who you taking? Irrespective of the players, like to that argument about Mike McCarthy was made because of Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, if I can have both, if I can have wins and I can have an enjoyable experience, I'm gonna have to go Mike Tomlin.
Sean Crespin, who you taking?
Well, since he took Tomlin, and Tomlin's one of my favorite coaches in the league, it's hard to say this because the colors he wears right now, but I think Andy Reid is about as good as they come, too. I mean, he did win an awful lot of games in Philly, too, before he
Took him to a Super Bowl.
Took him to a Super Bowl, was just a couple plays away from winning that damn thing even.
4 NFC Championship games.
4 NFC Championship games. Look what he's done in Kansas City.
5 NFC Championship
He
games.
just
I'm sorry.
wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously he can groom young players. Look what he's doing with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, for me, Andy Reid's about as good as it gets.
You know, people don't put enough respect on Andy Reid's name.
I agree.
He's been to now 8
Yeah.
conference championship games as a head coach.
Well, the other thing, too, about Andy Reid, he strikes me as a guy who you'd like to hang out with when he's not doing, like, game planning or whatever.
Just the shirts alone let you know
right?
he's kind of a cool guy.
You know, because some of these coaches.
Tony Bahama shirts. Yeah.
Like, if I were to say Bill Belichick, people would agree with me that he'd be a good guy to coach my team.
Yeah,
but you wouldn't want to hang out with him.
No, you wouldn't want to hang out with him.
I could see myself saying, "Hey, coach, good game. Let's go grab a beer afterwards." Or
But you know what, though? A lot of that's overblown, too, because I think
I know.
that's a persona.
It's what you see from the
It
public
is.
on. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if you guys saw. I'm a huge fan of all the football lives and NFL features. I think they just do a tremendous job, NFL films. But he actually allowed them to follow him for an entire year. It was called the Patriot Way or something.
Okay.
completely different dude during that entire year on those cameras than what we get at the press conferences.
It's all by design.
It is a lot of a persona, like you guys were saying.
He's not that stuffy in real life.
Yeah, exactly.
He's
right.
really not.
But still, I think if I'm building a roster or expansion team, building it from ground up, I think Andy Reid's my guy.
I think
I'm going Mike Tomlin.
I'm going Mike Tomlin.
Can't go wrong with that either.
I think at the risk of being a copycat, but it was my damn question. I'll go Mike Tomlin as well.
And for me to go Mike Tomlin, I really like the guy because he's the source of my biggest pain.
Yeah,
as far as my professional career.
All right, real quick before we jump out of here, what do we make of N'Keal Harry's situation?
I was glad you asked that. I was going to ask B-Train his thoughts on that, being a guy that played in the league. Here's somebody who has talent but has never shown it on the pro level for whatever reason. If you want to blame the franchise he wound up on and the offenses that they've had the last couple of years, whatever it is, his own injuries, whatever it is, for your agent to go just flat out on Twitter and make that public, to me, was a little bit off base.
Weak sauce.
Thank you.
It was weak sauce. At some point, you've got to show why you want out of there. They have nothing to go on as far as why you think you deserve to be somewhere else, like where you would be a great option. Just because you're big and you're strong and once upon a time you caught some passes in college, your pro career has shown nothing. To garner any kind of attention that you would make a splash if another team were to trade for you.
And as you would expect when a story like this comes out in July, it's like sharks with blood in the water, right?
Yeah.
The media's all over it. And
why would you wait so long? You knew you didn't want to be there in January.
Yeah, and the NFL writers are out there and they're like, hey, I did my homework, I'm doing this. A, 6th-round conditional pick, and B, buried in this thing is he's only going to be a fit in a certain type of offense. If you want N'Keal Harry to come in and run a precision routes in a fast-paced offense, he's not your guy. So right there, you limit, the teams that would be interested in you. 6
months too late and not enough competitive juice. If you can't go there and try to win, all you got to do is look at your quarterback from last year. Cam Newton is fighting for his job.
Yeah.
Go fight for your job. Go fight, because if you fight and you get it, you're going to feel like $1 million. You're going to feel like you've earned it, and it's going to change your whole trajectory as far as your career is concerned. You whimper out and you want to go somewhere else because it wasn't just giving it to you. You come off weak sauce, man.
Yeah, I agree. We'll keep an eye on that one. All right, we'll step aside one more time, come back, some news and notes we want to get to, and still to come in our final segment, Pump the Brakes and Dad Jokes. You're listening to Train and Grose.
Train and Grose.
Welcome back in Train and Grose. I don't know if I mentioned it, but please give us a follow on Twitter at Train and Grose. That's easy.
There you go.
Subscribe on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast. On YouTube now, Sean Crespin.
Just do it.
I like it.
Just
we talk a lot about, and I know you wanted to throw. We probably should have done the last segment, but you wanted to give your annual warning to NFL players who got time on their hands. But Trevor Bauer.
Yeah.
And
talk about time on his hands.
Right? You look at Trevor Bauer, and I'm gonna kind of dissect this story two ways. One, you've got the Trevor Bauer component, but two, and to me, maybe even more disturbing or disappointing, because there's always going to be idiots out there, right?
Sure.
And I don't know that anybody's going to excuse or condone or whatever, but we'll get back to Trevor Bauer in a minute. But Major League Baseball, Los Angeles Dodgers, when this story first came out, that Trevor Bauer had roughed up a woman, and there's always two sides to the story.
Sure.
There's text messages, all of this. But
yep.
In 2021, if you're Major League Baseball, if you're the LA Dodgers, how tone deaf can you be when your initial response is, well, we've heard about it, but we're going to wait, and he's traveling with the team to Washington, and we'll make his scheduled start. Wow. That was the first message that you got. And again, in 2021, I don't understand how that happens anymore. Can't happen.
Nope.
I just...
It's wrong.
It's wrong.
Dead wrong.
I mean, that's where the NFL, it came out of them not being proactive and all, but, they created the commissioner's exempt list, and it's used for things like this.
But that came from mistakes, too.
And that's what I'm saying. It came out of not being proactive in their own issues, but the commissioner's exempt list now allows you to, hey, you're not suspended. You're still getting paid. We're just
can't play.
We're just going to remove you from everything going on right now so we can figure this out.
Hello, Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, so we can figure this out. We're going to put you on the commissioner's exempt list. It's not an indictment to you. You're getting paid.
Right.
You're not suspended. We're just going to figure this out. You just come over here with us. And that's what they need. It's perfect for that.
And again, this is very similar, although the numbers aren't there, but very similar to the Deshaun Watson situation where after the fact, a woman alleges that he was too rough with her and sexual assault, etc.
Right.
And then she took out a restraining order on her, which was kind of the thing that kicked this into
high gear. Yeah.
I should say she took out a restraining order against
him.
him.
Yes.
But his attorney's like, hey, we got text messages when she, kind of said what she wanted and blah, 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 blah. But again, I agree with you, Sean. You as a sports league in 2021 or a business in 2021 even, you got to be smarter than that. You got, and now they anything they do, people are going to look at cynically. And in this ESPN article I'm reading right now from Jeff Passan, he puts it in there, and it's almost as a comic relief, even though it's not that type of story, saying, oh, by the way, the Dodgers canceled the Trevor Bauer bobblehead night at the stadium that was scheduled for later this year. Anything you do at this point, you can't recover from that.
Yeah. You come off as tone deaf, Mike, and in today's society, that is just that's not an option. You can't afford to be tone deaf. You have to be able to read the room and understand that those type of situations have to be handled in a certain way. And if you don't handle them the right way at the beginning, no matter what you do proactive after that, you're still going to be crucified for the fact that you mishandled it right out of the gate, as opposed to using some sort of tact and just saying, hey, say very little and try to say, well, we're going to look into it, to try to blame, deflect, and all those type of things. It's never going to be a great message.
The other story, again, this one in the world of football, and we touched on this a week ago, but the story continues to develop and evolve. Formally charged with felony possession of assault weapon, Frank Clark faces up to 3 years in prison. And, again, this is not – there's so many levels you could look at.
It's a bad look, Mike.
But, here's a guy that this is not a first time. This is not and it's not a random thing.
No.
Because I think initially when the story came out, the thought was, man, this is random. How did they pick him? How they know? But when you get pulled over for whatever, they know who you are. They know what you've
done.
And they know what you've done.
Yep.
And again, when you think about
reasonable cause,
your livelihood,
yep,
and the people that depend on you
yep.
and your livelihood,
yep,
you put all that at risk.
Yep.
You put all of that at risk. He's got it in the front seat of his car, an Uzi in an open duffel bag during a routine traffic stop in the city of Los Angeles.
Mike, if it were he was going through the TSA or at the airport and he forgot his gun and he always has a gun with him, I carry a gun with me, Mike. So that is something that is reasonable and that could be explained away. But when this is your third charge, this is something that you've done and this is what you continue to do, it's hard to have sympathy for you. Yeah. It's hard for me to feel any kind of sympathy for my man Frank. And I hate to say that because I hate going against my fellow brethren in the NFL, but at some point you have to be able to be smarter than that.
You have a responsibility to yourself and your family. As I said, I'm sure, I don't know his situation, significant other, children, whatever.
It ain't that bad that you need a Uzi in the front seat.
Right. And if after your previous 2 convictions means that you can't have an Uzi,
put it under the seat.
Put it in the trunk.
Put it somewhere else. Don't put it in the front like you need ready access to it.
And we talk about, all the time now, right? And the professional sports, it's a business. You're an independent contractor.
Don't be that guy.
The stakes, I'm reading right from the article, the stakes are high for both Clark and the Chiefs.
Yes.
If he lands on the paid leave list and it's not resolved before the end of the 2021 season, the Chiefs will pay him $18.5 million to not play football. If it is resolved, he doesn't get his money, and the Chiefs still take a hit. But so
it's a lose-lose.
It's a lose-lose.
Yeah, don't be that guy. Just make smart decisions. That doesn't sound like a very smart decision.
Did you ever have a teammate, and obviously don't name names, but did you ever have a teammate where you knew, yeah, that dude's going to be that guy?
Yes. College and pro.
Like you just knew this time of year is going to roll around. They're going to have too much downtime without enough people around them, supporting staff, and you're like, that's going to be the guy.
I had guys whenever we were, no matter what time it was, he was going to be that guy. If something came up and his name was in it, yep, okay, makes sense.
Ain't going to be good.
That's that dude.
That's that guy. Some personalities just lend themselves to certain behavior. I mean, you just call it how you see it, and But yeah, there was always those guys that you had to pay a little extra attention to once you let out of the OTAs.
And I think we've all had those
stuff.
friends too in our life, right? Like they're great friends, but you're like, dude, I can't spend every day with this guy.
No, you got to pick and choose your battles.
Right.
Saw that one coming.
Yeah.
All right. Meanwhile, Arizona Diamondbacks 25-64, 30 and a half games out of first place as they have a 3-game weekend series starting tonight against the Los Angeles Dodgers as they get ready for the All-Star break.
Yeah. Is there another team that's more happy that the Suns are doing what they're doing?
Yeah. To me, it's a toss-up between the Diamondbacks
and ASU.
Football. But, man, this is just not going right. And, you talk about, whose town is it? The Arizona Diamondbacks. I mean, they played across the street.
And they've got the only championship.
Right. They've got the only – but I'm talking about right now.
Yeah.
They played across the street, and nobody cared.
Crickets.
Nobody cared.
To the point where they moved the July 17 Cubs game from a 6 o'clock start, or 6:40 start, or whatever it is, to like a middle of the day game because they know that's going to be Game 5 for the Suns if they go to Game 5.
Yeah.
And there's nobody going to be at their game.
Nobody.
And worse, maybe even worse off,
they clinch.
If the Suns win it, now you got this party going on around you. Like, yeah, it was a smart move.
And just to build, I'm glad you said that. They're advertising the fact that the Chicago Cubs are coming to town. And usually in this town when the Cardinals come in, and we know it from football, but the teams in baseball are the Cubs, the Cardinals, and the Dodgers and the Giants.
Yep.
When those teams come to town,
Yankees.
the rare time the Yankees or the Red Sox come in,
Yep.
you know that it's going to be a majority Cubs fan.
Sure.
And so the Cubs fans are even like,
no.
So we're going to advertise the fact that I don't think this team over the years has ever had to spend money to advertise the fact that the Chicago Cubs are coming in to play a baseball game.
But hey, Mike, when you don't have a great product out on the field, then you've got to spend the money somehow, some way. If you're not going to spend it on the players, you're going to spend it in advertising. That's just the way that it goes.
All right, last story. Let's end it on a happy note.
All right.
Did you guys see the spelling bee champion the other night?
I've seen the story. I did not see the word.
I don't have any idea. I don't even know. I was going to ask you guys how to spell it.
No.
I can't say it, so I can ask you to
spell. I can't say it.
I mean, I can say it. I don't know how to pronounce it.
All right.
Murraya. Her name is Zalia Avant-Garde. She's 14-year-old from New Orleans. First time that you've ever had a winner from New Orleans. But here's the thing. And
first Black American.
There's
to win.
I was going to get to that, but my wife's a teacher.
Yes.
Heaven help me. Sometimes I have like disparaging comments about spelling bee winners. Like, you ever see like the caricature type person, the homeschool kid that A yes S T U V yeah. The nice thing is this it's true. And I said,
I've seen it. They've had that on ESPN. I've
all
seen
the
that.
time.
This young lady, that young lady,
a couple years ago.
Yes.
And I turned to Karen and I go, homeschooled? She goes, homeschooled. And then on the bottom it has her name, homeschooled.
Homeschooled, yes.
Yeah. But the other thing about this young lady, not only is she obviously a hell of a speller,
tremendous basketball player.
she's got like Guinness World Book records.
Yeah, 3. She's got 3 of them.
Guinness World Book records.
Yeah. And have you seen some of her ball handling?
Yes.
Mike, she's unbelievable.
The videos of her ball handling are almost as impressive as her standing there with that bright spotlight on her and everybody watching her spell Murraya. I got to look that up.
And the joy on her, and the joy that she exuded.
The look on her face?
Yeah, I mean, it's priceless, Mike. But Mike, I'm telling you, like, you got to go back and see, because if you go to Instagram somewhere, they're
out there.
They've got videos of her in actual games. Mike, she is a problem. Like, she is not going to be somebody that anybody wants to see, because she is crossing people up left and right.
Google her name. Now, the videos are getting hit. They've been out there, but now that she won the spelling bee, they're bumping up, and you're going to be able to find them. She's going to be like that Sean Burroughs kid. Remember him when he played in the Little League World Series, hit a home run? Then he was the first round draft pick of maybe the Padres or something like that. That's that type of story. Like, remember him when he was 13?
Yeah.
Now he's the first round drapt pick in Major League Baseball.
Remember
her when she was 14?
Yeah.
You know, she's playing in the WNBA and curing cancer on the weekend.
Absolutely. And, you know, she can spell all the different cancers that are out there.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, Mike, I'm telling you, if I'm Gino Auriemma or if I'm Neil Ivey, the head basketball coach at Notre Dame, I've already put out a little filler for her parents and be like, hey, look, when she's ready, we'd love to have her.
You know how it works. AAU basketball, friend to a friend to a friend. Connecticut's interested.
Notre Dame better be interested.
This one's got Stanford written all over it. Sorry.
Notre Dame.
Stanford.
Notre Dame. Go Irish. Tired of Stanford. Tired of UConn getting all the best players. No, had enough.
Isn't that true? again, I'm the father of 2 daughters, both who competed collegiately in sports. Not loving women's college, but just no reason, just never. I was actively rooting against Connecticut in the tournament this year just because they win everything.
The evil empire.
Right?
Yeah. And they become
Look at you lose again.
They've become that program. Yes.
It's like when I was a kid and Notre Dame was on TV. Oh, man.
Easy. Easy.
You know what I always say?
You guys used to win every year.
Cheer my
there you go.
smiley face.
Yeah. But, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I just think with her, one, it's a great story.
Yep.
In and of itself. I mean, to win the spelling bee, it's impressive. I don't care, homeschool, public school, private school, whatever. If you can go out there and you can spell most of the words that are in a dictionary, that's impressive. But then if you've got handles and you've done all these things before your 15th birthday, you're going places. You need to know that name, write it down, take a picture of it, screenshot it, because you're going to hear that name
absolutely
a lot in the future. I just pray that the people that are around her give her that cocoon of protection to allow her to blossom and grow in the way that she's supposed to.
14 now, so 4 or 5 years we'll be hearing about where she's
about 3 years, Mike,
taking her talents and doing good things.
She'd be one of those that could probably reclassify up, like kind of like what's my man that was here that went to Duke?
I know who you're talking about.
Marvin Bagley.
Marvin Bagley. We can go, yeah,
yes.
Absolutely. All right, it's all been a build-up.
Yeah,
buddy. Next segment coming up, Pump the Brakes and Dad Jokes. That's on Trent and Grose.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, before we do this, though, I got to close the loop.
Okay.
Spelling bee.
Yeah.
Murraya is Miria.
Miria.
Can I get the? Can I use it in a sentence, please?
Yes. The Miria is blooming on the back 40.
Country of origin?
It is, I don't know. It's found by 1791, a Swedish botanist.
Wow.
It's the genus of a tropical aesthetic and Australian tree.
Wow.
Having pinnate leaves and flowers with imbricate petals. I can't even read the definition.
I mean, the words that they're using to describe it, I've never heard before.
Right, yeah.
Imbricated petals.
What does imbricated mean?
Hell if I know.
I mean,
we're talking about a 14-year-old girl winning a spelling bee with a word that A, I couldn't spell, B, I couldn't pronounce, C, I couldn't use in a sentence.
Yeah. That's impressive. And she can cross you up.
Yeah.
And bust my ankle right by that.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
I'm going to just very simple. Let's just go right. It's literally 3 words. Pump the brakes or not. Suns in 4.
Pump the brakes. I hate the way Mike Budenholzer has coached the Milwaukee Bucks the first 2 games. I don't think he's going to do that the next 2 games in Milwaukee. Mm-hmm. For one, their home court advantage is unlike a lot. I would equal it to what we see here with the Suns. They are as passionate about their team inside the stadium as well as outside the stadium. If you've seen in the games where they pan out to the outside, and those fans are just as rabid as the ones that are on the inside. So to me, that alone gets them one.
And they're just the talent enough.
They're talented enough, and there's just so much good energy, goodwill towards the Milwaukee Bucks. I think that gets them 1 game. Yeah. I don't know if it gets them more than that, but I think it gets them at least 1.
I'm in agreement. I can't, as I said earlier when we were talking about things, I don't see the Bucks. Would you ask me? They're going to
win 4 out of 5.
That ain't happening.
Okay.
But I don't see the Bucks losing both games at home.
Okay.
It'll come back, and I think that'll be.
It's fitting. They need to win it at home.
It's kind of like what the mayor of Tampa asked for the Lightning. Let's just go ahead and lose the game up there in Montreal and bring it home and win it. Let's do the same thing with the Suns.
Yeah, I don't advocate for losing, but I just wouldn't be that upset if we got to clinch it at home, the first ever for this team, for this city.
You know, this is the first time in Suns history they've ever had a lead in a final series. So this is the third series third time they've been to the NBA Finals. 76, they lost Game 1.
Celtics.
93, they lost Game 1 and 2 to the Bulls. They never had a lead. This is the first time in team history, so it would be nice. All right, I'm gonna trend towards the old man get off my lawn with this one. So you guys tell me if I'm a little bit out of base.
All right.
Since we just did Suns in 4, and I'm never gonna hate on a man for taking advantage of a situation and hating on his hustle, but the Suns in 4 guy trending towards annoying at this point.
Oh, he's very much annoying.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so I'm not get off my lawn.
No,
guy.
you're not get off my lawn.
Hold up.
Yeah.
No, that's one of those where again, he's had his 15 minutes. He's extended it to about a half hour, and it's about time to move on. And look, it was great at the time. It's kind of dangerous to promote that kind of violence.
It
I know
is.
Devin Booker gave him the jersey and all that kind of
And
stuff.
tickets.
So he caught a lot of flack for that. But you don't want to promote violence because that's grown-ups behaving badly. It sends a bad message. But it was a great line, Suns in 4, because they actually did pull it off
the fact
in
that
4
they did
games.
it, right.
Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah.
I don't need that. This story's too good. We don't need the side
Yeah, you don't need it.
show.
And it was like you said, it was good. It was funny for the Nuggets series.
Right.
But then the like a celebrity at the games
I don't
and
see
the
it.
T-shirts and
I'm
the
not-
after parties.
Well, it didn't
and
apply
was like-
to the Clippers. They won in 6. It wasn't 4.
Yeah. And again, I'll never hate on a guy for taking advantage of a situation. Go get your money. Go do you. But to me, it's starting to
It's
get to
time.
that point.
It's over.
Yeah.
All right. 1 year ago today,
Okay.
a 5 games under 500 Phoenix Suns team held their first practice in the bubble. Today, we're talking about winning Game 2 of the NBA Finals. So pump the brakes or not, this has been the most improbable run in NBA history.
Oh.
Wow.
I can't think of another one, which is why I'm throwing that out there. Usually, you put your dues in to get
Yeah.
here.
Well, we
I
talked
can't-
about that.
I can't think of another one that went straight to it.
Pump the brakes.
Oh.
I got one. You're a 2004 Detroit Pistons. They were a team that had no real stars to speak of.
And they went up against the Lakers super team.
But here's the thing. Throughout the year, they were not considered one of the top teams in the East. Definitely not considered one of the top teams in the NBA. They pull off a all-time great trade to bring in Rasheed Wallace,
Right.
who was exactly what they needed at the moment. And he was the key to them unlocking this lineup that was so good defensively that they just smothered teams. So it wasn't as if they had this long season run like the Phoenix Suns starting off in the bubble where they win those 8 games and then you bring in Chris Paul and then, the rest has been history. That was as improbable a run as you would ever think, because not only did they beat the great Lakers team with all of those stars, they beat them in 5.
Yeah.
They came a game away from sweeping those guys.
Well, and you talk about that, and I'll never shy away from giving my what do you like to say? Detroit basketball
Oh,
team
God.
some credit.
Wow.
But they finished. I just looked it up. I didn't remember. I knew they finished behind the Pacers. They finished 7 games behind the Pacers. So this is not a team that was in the conversation as a 1 or 2 seed.
No.
They finished 7 games behind the Pacers.
It took them a while to find their stride.
Yeah.
Because Rasheed, for a while, they were like, is this guy going to be able to be available? I mean, people think about Drummond with Golden State. He had nothing on Rasheed Wallace. Rasheed Wallace was a walking tech. Like sometimes he'd walk on the court and get a tech just because he was Rasheed Wallace.
Yeah.
I mean, my goodness, he was a walking technical foul. Draymond Green, I should say.
And you look at those, and I don't want to take away one from the other.
No, they were both great.
And the other thing that I like is they're both unique and they both got their own stories.
Yeah.
It was improbable, but Detroit at least had a little basketball pedigree, and that wasn't. They went from the championships in the late 80s, 90s to basketball drought, and then that one came back, and it was definitely unexpected.
Yes.
Just as quickly as they had that, then it dissipated again.
Well, and that was the Lakers team with Karl Malone and Gary Payton, right? Who then joined everything else that they already
Yes,
had. That was like the super team.
Yeah, they
That
had
was like the
Shaq,
original,
Kobe, Karl Malone, GP. I mean, I think they had some other guys too on the roster.
Yeah.
And they almost got swept.
Yeah.
They had a lot of internal issues going on. Remember, Kobe had his situation.
Yeah, and the whole Colorado.
You know what I mean? And he and Shaq had their own little situation. So there was a lot of things going on. Karl Malone, Kobe's wife. I mean, there was a lot going on.
I forgot about that.
And a lot going on. And then the other thing, Detroit, that team, remember, Joe Dumars, even though they won a championship, was on the hot seat and remained on the hot seat because of
The
the
draft
Okafor pick. He was on that roster. He didn't do shit, but he was on that roster.
But who was the guy he picked above Carmelo Anthony?
Okafor.
No, not Okafor. It was the foreign kid.
Yeah, Mehmet. No.
Okor, yeah, Okor. Mehmet
Okor,
Okor.
yeah, sorry,
yes.
sorry, yeah.
You said Okafor. I was like, Okafor.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
saying Mehmet
Darko
Okor.
Milicic is
Darko Milicic.
I had him backwards, but yes, Darko was on that roster. So
Wow.
they're doing all that with this dude on the bench.
Wow.
And Joe Dumars like, hey, nice championship. Guess who's still sitting on the end of the bench?
Yeah. Darko Milicic has a ring and Allen Iverson doesn't. Something just doesn't seem right.
There's a
about that.
lot, there's a lot of names.
They did an article on this dude. He's a dirt farmer back in Yugoslavia, like literally.
Dirt farmer.
No, I'm not kidding.
No,
like
it's real.
But it's just funny the way you
it's not
said
like
it.
it's not like he's got one of those impressive Texas cattle ranches, right?
Right.
Dude, this is like mud huts, and the dude's got the overall with one thing undone and straw coming out. Like, God bless him. He's
probably happy.
He says
With a-
he's
with a
never.
championship
he,
ring.
he said, "I've never been happy."
Whatever makes you happy, man.
With a championship
That's what it's all
ring
about.
to boot.
Absolutely.
That was I'd forgotten. I mean, not totally forgotten about that, but that team.
But Mehmet Okur could play, though. Mehmet Okur played.
I got Milosevich Okur.
Yeah.
I got my story.
Darko Milicic was the guy. I was like,
But
Okur, the name just
that backcourt too, similar to what you had Chauncey and Rip Hamilton.
Rip Hamilton, yeah.
Was that the face
Tayshaun
match?
Prince.
Was that the face match
Ben
year
Wallace.
for Rip Hamilton?
It
Yeah,
was.
that was the face match year.
Yeah.
He wore it the whole year.
Yeah.
When he didn't have to.
How do you say Ben Wallace?
What?
Ben Wallace.
I can't say Rasheed Wallace without thinking of the Chappelle episode where
Wow.
Rasheed Wallace.
Yeah.
All right, next one. Booker going straight from the NBA Finals. We're playing into, like you pointed out earlier in the show, potentially late July. Straight to Tokyo for the Olympics. The NBA season has already been announced. It's starting back up normal time in October next year. Does that make you a little worried for next season for Booker?
No.
Pump the brakes or not?
No, pump the brakes. You know what those guys do when they don't play in the Olympics? They play pickup games in LA. So they play basketball all year long. They take maybe a couple weeks off, but you can go to any gym in LA and you'll see at least 5-10 pro guys all going at it, working on their game. Even Devin Booker has been seen.
Yeah,
and remember, that was the time that the video he was talking about getting double teamed.
Yeah.
That was during the offseason. So these guys play basketball as much as they can.
Look at Klay Thompson. I was in a gym in LA in the summertime.
Yeah.
You know, and I guess in retrospect, you'd rather have him with USA basketball in Tokyo.
Yeah.
Right? So, look, you know.
Paul George, when he got hurt.
Right? Put Book up there. Get this to me just further solidifies what we've been talking about all along.
Yep.
You know, when you look at, there's something out here, I won't find it in time, but they listed the players in their first NBA championship, most points scored. Mm-hmm. He will shatter that record.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
he's 30 points behind it
that
right
It's
now.
like 500 and something.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is the emergence of Devin Booker, and this is a natural next step. The timing, to your point, is not great. You know, if this would have been something where the season ended normally, he would have had a little recovery time. But he's still young.
Yep.
You know, if we're talking about this like we do with LeBron James, or we did with Kobe Bryant, where it happened 7 years in a row, and there's two Olympics in there, and international competition, all that, then maybe you got something to worry about.
I mean,
first trip, let him go, let him enjoy it.
You've also had other players play for other teams, so it's not like it was just unique to the United States. You've had guys for other teams. Manu Ginobili had the same thing when he was playing for Argentina. And you think about in Milwaukee, they've got two players that are going to be playing in the Olympics as well. You got Drew Holiday as well as Chris Middleton. So it's not as if it's just one guy and it's just unique to him. There's going to be other players. Obviously, they're not of the caliber of Devin Booker. We get that. But they're not far from it.
Yeah. Well, I always lean towards you again. I do defer to you as a professional athlete. These guys know their bodies a hell of a lot better than we do.
Dude, they play basketball
He's not
all
putting
year
himself
long.
in a situation where it's going to have any, he's not going to willingly put himself in a situation.
But if it wasn't in Tokyo, it'd be here in the States.
Right.
They'd be playing pickup games, and it would be just the same amount of risk, injury risk.
All right, so we're going to go to some of the off-the-wall stuff here. We're already on question 5.
Let's do it.
Apparently, I'm not a cat person. I don't dislike cats.
Okay.
I don't dislike them. I'm not a cat person. I would not have known of this particular holiday.
All right.
Saturday is National Kitten Day. Now, it's there to encourage people to donate to help out the situation, foster kittens and this and that, but that's not where I'm going with this. That day apparently led to a survey.
Okay.
And according to this survey, 58% of Americans say it's totally fine to take your cat for a walk on a leash.
So
pump the brakes or not on taking your cat for a walk on a leash.
Pump the brakes and already get this sound ready. Are you kidding me? There is no way that if I see somebody walking a cat on a leash, that I'm not going to joke it up. I am joking you up on sight. I'm just telling you.
Pump the brakes.
Yeah.
And I have two just anecdotal pieces as to why that's true. Number one, my younger daughter, she has a cat.
Okay.
Most spoiled cat in the whole
Does she
world.
walk it?
She put him on a leash. She thought it'd be cute by a leash. The cat almost clawed her eyes out.
I was going to say, did the cat freak out?
He wanted no part of it. And this is a pretty good cat in terms of, like, she got him out there, she hooked it up.
Yeah.
Dude went crazy. I don't know how he did it. He was walking on air. and she's 6 feet tall. This cat almost got her. Like, he was
Wow.
like, no, we're not doing this. Take this damn thing
Take
off me.
it
Take
off
me back
now.
inside now.
Yes.
The other thing, I take the dog for a walk every night, even when it's
Yeah.
hot out, but I take the dog for a walk. There's the neighbors in the condo developed next to us. They got a little tiny, I want to say a Chihuahua, something on the dog that they walk.
Looks like a cat.
No. The wife, husband and wife out walking, has a cat carrier. They take the cat out every night in the cat carrier for a walk.
Hold up.
Way.
Wait.
Take the cat out in a cat carrier.
58%.
Can't walk on his own 4.
I'm telling you.
Wow.
What are you gonna do? They probably put him on the leash and he freaked out and clawed the old people.
Just let it walk. If it's a smart cat, it's not going to get away from you because he knows who feeds it and takes care of it.
Right.
You don't want to be out there in that hot ass pavement either.
58% of Americans, according to the survey, think it's totally fine to walk your cat on a leash.
It's a lot of lonely people out
Sorry,
there.
Hold up.
sorry, I can't get on board with that one.
No, I'm with you.
pumping the brakes.
Is it that time?
It's that time. So just
Hey, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I have one too.
Oh.
Do I go before you like the warm-up act, or do you want me to go after?
First and foremost, ask permission. To
That's what I just asked.
Take the
Oh,
man's
first.
segment from him.
May I do a dad joke?
Oh, you absolutely may do a dad
Okay.
joke. Dad jokes rule.
We're like Chip and Dale. Bertrand, would it be okay if I did it?
Because, just like my shirt, I keep all my jokes in a database.
Oh, look!
Yeah.
The man brings a shirt. That's a dad joke to the
Come
table.
on.
So
Come on.
would you like me to be the warm-up act, or would you like
Go
to
ahead, go ahead, brother.
Let me
You
give,
go
let me
first.
let me give the rules because you're not.
I don't deserve sound.
No, you'll get it because you're not above the rules. If this is
Age
Oh.
before beauty.
if this is a terrible dad joke, you're not oblivious to the hate that comes your way. So the rules of our dad joke segment, no matter what, even if it's a bad joke, you get one of those.
Yeah, you get mad.
If
help
it's a
my damn
terrible
self.
joke, if it's a terrible joke, right. if you hit the laughter bone a little bit, there you go. Now, if it's worthy, you get the standing up. So that's the dad.
What's that
jokes.
one I sent you? Something. I see myself.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Those are the dad
All
joke
right, mine-
rules.
My dad jokes comes out of the world of science.
Okay.
Okay.
What do you call an acid with an attitude?
No, what?
Amino acid.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. That's not bad, Mike.
For a first
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you very
You'll
much.
be here all week. Yeah.
your first attempt, not bad.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. All right, here we go, y'all.
All right.
So what do you call sexuality where you're attracted to men and women, but neither are attracted to you? By your damn self.
Pretty good. That's good.
I'm gonna give it to him.
That's good. Now, okay, you were going through your dad jokes before the show started, and you had one that I think is airworthy.
Oh, that
Do
one
you
was
remember it?
airworthy?
Do you remember it off the top of your head?
No. Give me a hint.
We'll end the show on this. I'll go ahead and I guess I can do it. There was a blind guy reading a horror novel.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Right, the blind person reading a horror novel. Mm-hmm. And they said, it was in Braille, reading it in Braille, obviously blind guy. And he says, something bad is about to happen. I can feel it.
I love it. Dad jokes rule.
That's it. That's it. Thank you. Thank you. All right, that was a B train joke. Now,
Did you know that's sign language for I love you? Come on.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, I
love
thought you were going back to the 80s to your.
Dad jokes rule, baby.
All right. That's going to do it for this
that's how we
edition
wrap up the show.
of Train and Grose. We'll see you next.
We'll be back. I can feel it.
Well, holla.